All right, welcome to Speak For Yourself. I'm Jason Whitlock. That's my new co-host, Marcellus Wiley.
Yes.
Coming up, Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin just said something that has me fired up.
Plus, I'm bringing that dudes back. You heard me right. You know what it is. But first, we start with today's Whitlock. What you got, big dog?
I got Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones just hit the panic button. Yesterday, the Cowboys owner told the world, his coaching staff, and most importantly, his quarterback, that he's lost faith in Dak Prescott as a passing QB.
We have a dimension in Dak being able to run the ball. You saw what Cam Newton does with that. Norv Turner can be as traditional a play caller as you can ever imagine, was doing a great job of using Cam. We've got a quarterback that is somewhere between the one that you saw with the Rams last night and Cam Newton. He can do some of what both of those guys do.
There's only one reason to compare Dak to Cam. Jerry watched the Cowboys' abysmal offensive performance against the Carolina Panthers on Sunday and decided Dak Prescott cannot beat anyone with his arm this season. Oh boy, this is a major problem. Dak Prescott is not Cam Newton.
Preach.
Cam Newton is the Rob Gronkowski of quarterbacks. Cam is a 6'6", 260-pound freak of nature who can leap tall buildings with a single bound. Dak Prescott is a 6'2", 230-pound guy who in his very best moments reminds you of Warren Moon, but could probably best be analogized to Joe Theismann or Rich Gannon. Since Dak and Zeke led the Cowboys to an 11-game winning streak in 2016, they've gone 11-11 since. That's average. That's mediocre. Dak has been average to mediocre, too, since the 2016 season. The Dallas Morning News pointed out this morning that Dak threw 2 interceptions during the Cowboys' 11-game winning streak. He's thrown 16 INTs in the following 22 games. But this is not the time for Jerry Jones to inadvertently back a truck over Dak. No way. Dak jumped in Jerry's national anthem foxhole at the beginning of this season. He publicly joined his owner in the most divisive issue in all of professional sports.
I never protest during the anthem, and I don't think that's the time or the venue to do so. The game of football has always brought me such a peace, and I think it does the same for a lot of people. A lot of people playing the game, a lot of people watching the game, a lot of people that have any impact of the game. So when you bring such a controversy to the stadium, to the field, to the game, it takes away from that. It takes away from the joy and to the love that football brings a lot of people. And I'm up for taking a next step, that whatever that step may be, for action and not just kneeling. I've always believed standing up for what I believe in, and that's what I'm going to continue to do.
You cannot sell this kid out. After that, Jerry, you can't sign Dak up to endure the kind of physical pounding that Cam endures. Dak's not Superman. He's more like the Black Panther. You have to supply him with a strong supporting cast and a bunch of gadgets. And you damn sure can't screw with his confidence after week 1, not when he's shown you the kind of loyalty he has. Jerry owes Dak a level of loyalty that is rare in professional sports. Dak needs a couple of playmakers added to the roster and a bunch of excuses offered to the media.
Preach.
Marcellus, what looks worse in Dallas, Dak's play or Jerry's mouth?
What looks worse, huh? Great question, tough question. But what looks worse, because if you look at this, Dak Prescott needs some things. And the thing he needs is weapons. But what's not going to change, what's not going anywhere, what's a staple of the Dallas organization is Jerry Jones's mouth. That's just as important to the Dallas organization as a star.
Not winning. It's not important to winning. It may be important to the brand, but not winning.
Exactly. And Jerry Jones has always kept the brand coupled with winning. He's always married the two. I'm looking at Dak Prescott and I'm saying, I feel sorry for you. I'm looking at a guy who right now, because of Dak Prescott and the lack of weaponry he has around him. You talk about no arsenal. You're talking about my number 1 receiver potentially is Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley had a great year 2 years ago in the presence of Dez Bryant being double covered in those situations. Now Cole Beasley is out there saying between Dak Prescott, Allen Hurns, et cetera, that's not a starting receiving core in the NFL. So Jerry Jones knows he goes nowhere. He knows his mouth goes nowhere. Dak Prescott's the one who needs help. He's the one saying, please help me in this situation.
I love Jerry Jones. I'm a supporter of Jerry Jones. I've never been more disappointed. When Dak Prescott steps out into that national anthem controversy and basically locks arms with Jerry Jones on that, all bets are off this season. You have to support this kid blindly. And particularly not after week. And I watched the Carolina-Dallas game, every drop of it. Dak did not look good. I get it. And it would shake an owner's confidence.
Yeah.
And it would. But that's got to be all in-house. You can't let a loose lip sink a ship. And so I think Jerry probably thinks I'm being positive. Hey, he reminds me of Jared Goff and Cam Newton, and he can run, guys. I know he looked terrible passing, but he can run. He thinks he might be saying something positive, but anybody with a brain could see Dak can't run like that, and you're clearly saying he can't win the game with his arm, so we now need him to run, and that's signing him up for a suicide mission.
Well, you watched the game. I watched the game on Fox, our network right here, and our own Troy Aikman said it, and then Jerry Jones paraphrased it. Be creative. Jerry Jones saw with his own eyes Cam Newton run around, and he's like, last time I checked, Dak Prescott can run some, a little, not Cam Newton level, but he can run some. So now Jerry Jones is putting that pressure on the organization, putting that pressure on the play calling, whether it's Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan. Somehow, some way, he wants this directive to be executed. Think about it. In Seattle, the 12th man is the crowd noise. In Dallas, it's Jerry Jones's mouth. And Jerry Jones is just looking at this team and saying, I don't care about hook or crook. Get this done. And when I see elements of my team that can be better executed, I want it done. And it could be week one to Jerry Jones, and he'll still apply that pressure.
Okay. Is it fair to Dak Prescott? How should Dak receive that advice? He's basically in a contract year. They got him for one more year after this, but normally this is the time you would extend a quarterback or a draft pick with a year left on his contract. He's in a contract year. The owner clearly has just done stepped out. We want you to run the ball. That's risk of injury. That's not playing to his strength. No. I just don't see him as a running guy. So if I'm Dak, I hear this is like, hey, man, it's week one, and we got off to a rough start, and now I got to adjust? What about you adjusting? I need pieces. I need a head coach with a creative game plan that supports me and makes things easier for me. I don't have that. Jerry seems more loyal to Jason Garrett than Dak Prescott, and to me, Dak Prescott has shown Jerry Jones more loyalty than anybody in that organization. I love you, Jerry. I just don't like this.
You made a great point in the essay saying don't sell him out right now, especially when that same player, Dak Prescott, is hearing the echoes of being a sellout because he's on the same side with a Jerry Jones. That's just the way that the world is spinning this. And if you look at Dak Prescott, his first 2 years, look at his comps. You know what his comps look like? The names of Andrew Luck and Cam Newton come to mind. Tom Brady's even in a protected space in a different way, but by numbers. I'm talking about touchdowns. I'm talking about interceptions. Dak protects the ball. Of late, he's not been the same guy he was early, but in a 2-year comp, look up the numbers, he has more touchdowns than Cam Newton, fewer interceptions than Cam Newton. The same guy that Jerry Jones is now comparing them to in the sense of you need to be more like him. I think this directive was at Jason Garrett, more so than looking at Dak Prescott, because he's saying we need to be creative. Creativity doesn't come from the players. That's insubordination. It comes from the play calling, Garrett Linehan.
I want to pin you down there because you just made an interesting point.
Let's go.
Maybe I heard it wrong, and it's more about Jason Garrett. And so you would say, again, we're not beating up on Dak, but you would say maybe Dak's play is worse than Jerry's mouth?
I would say Dak's play is going to be considered worse. Perception is reality here because the constant in Dallas is Jerry Jones's mouth. They've dealt with hiccups all the time. This is a Super Bowl contending team. No, they weren't. They won a playoff team. Oh, well, Romo, we can do it all. No, you can win in the playoff game maybe once. And that's what's always been a constant with the Dallas Cowboys, through high and through lows. So Dak is going to be the scapegoat, and he's going to be the guy who has to take this blame. After week one, I don't want to jump off the Dak ship because I remember the first 2 years, and they were good years. But he doesn't have the same things to work with. You got a guy in Ezekiel Elliott who is a tremendous workhorse. You got injuries up front. You had nothing on the outside.
No tight end.
No tight end, no presence of someone who has star ability at receiver. So therefore, what is Dak to do? You need to be creative. And this takes me to a situation close to home for both of us. The LA Rams. I was a staunch supporter of Jeff Fisher. Lost to his Titans when I played, respected him as a head coach. And I saw him come out to Los Angeles with a team that I knew had young talent. He had Jared Goff, he just drafted. He also had a young Todd Gurley who was a beast. To the tune of 4-12, suppressing that offense, I looked at that team, I said, something has to change. And what did they change? They changed the coach. And once they changed the coach, all of a sudden that Jared Goff, that Todd Gurley, reemergence, and everything changed in that culture. Went from last to first in terms of offensive production. Jason Garrett, I think you heard loud and clear what Jerry Jones was saying. You more so than Dak Prescott's on that hot seat.
You've blown my mind a little bit because at no point during the day when I saw this did I ever think it was a shot at Jason Garrett. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it could be a two-way shot at Garrett and a little like, hey, Dak's not throwing the ball that well, let him run. I'd never considered the Garrett deal. And that I guess backs me up a little bit off of Jerry in terms of how bad he looks in terms of his mouth. If he's putting pressure on Jason Garrett, I'm with him. I just think the way most people are going to spin it is just going to be on Dak. The perception will be that it was on Dak, and I just think Jerry owes him more than that. But and I'm a Dak supporter. I want Dak to do well.
Right.
I don't care if Jerry Rice and Paul Warfield and Steve Largent were out there. If the ball's hitting the ground before it gets to a receiver's body or hand, that ain't a good look. And Dak had some balls in the dirt that was like blew my mind. And I was, wow.
Yeah, it's a bad dynamic, but I'm telling you, we saw it with our own eyes. That dynamic, that culture, the complexion of an offense can change instantly, even without personnel changes. The Rams did it. They got something. Gurley or Zeke. Okay, I'll take it. Jared Goff or Dak. Okay, I'll take it. And all of a sudden, last to first, that's what Dallas is preaching now. They'll take it.
All right, welcome back. I'm Jason Whitlock here with my new co-host, Marcellus Wiley.
Say it, true, say it.
That dude.
Kansas City clean.
Time for some big stories.
Yes.
Let's start in Pittsburgh. I know this is hard to believe, Marcellus, but there is some drama coming from the Steelers locker room. Really? Imagine that.
Right.
After journalist and one of my best friends, Jesse Washington, wrote a piece about Antonio Brown's social media presence, Brown threatened Washington on Twitter, writing, quote, "Wait till I see you, bro. We're going to see what your jaw like." But when Mike Tomlin was asked about the situation, he actually said something that was music to my ears.
Guys, don't ask me about social media things. You know, we could talk all day about things that are online or on the internet or in social media. I just choose to stay away from it because it's a waste of my time. There's very little accountability. There's very little journalistic integrity, et cetera. Guys say things they don't mean. I talk to my teenagers about it all the time. Let's keep it professional and in the real. I think that's appropriate in this setting.
Love that.
In the real. I need that gift. Say it.
I loved it.
Say
Listen, I've been saying this forever. Twitter's not the real world.
Right.
My philosophy on Twitter from word go when I joined, I think in 2009, judge my columns, enjoy my tweets. I should be taken serious. When I sit down to write a column, when I'm sitting here on TV, take me seriously.
Yeah.
Twitter's just thoughts. And there's a difference between thoughts and beliefs. Having said that, just because I'm friends with Jesse, I've mapped and followed this story from reporting all the way to him writing it. What Antonio Brown has done here is inappropriate. That he's been going at Jesse more than just on Twitter. But Mike Tomlin's overall point about, look, man, I don't even want to deal with the Twitter world. It's a cesspool of dishonesty and inauthenticity. Let's deal with the real world. Love it.
Love it, too. I see a parallel here between something that was inappropriate, what Antonio Brown did, but it takes it to a grander conversation. Serena Williams comes to mind. You were inappropriate, Serena, in that moment, but there is a bigger conversation to have, and let's have that conversation about social media this time, because it's not reality. It's an app. Guess what you have the choice to do? Log in or log off. You don't have to be in that app and get lost in that world, but it's amazing that people have gotten lost in that world, and I'm so thankful for Mike Tomlin who sits in that locker room and says, hey, the adults are in this building. We're going to talk about reality and reality only. So I'm looking at everyone else who's trying to make this story more than it is, which is basically a receiver got caught in his emotions because someone's words touched that wound. And when they touched that wound, he responded in not his best of light, and then you just move forward. In every decision you make in this world, there's going to be an opponent, someone who disagrees with that decision. I love a guy who has that fortitude like a Mike Tomlin. It's like, look, I draw the line here. I've been misused in social media before by this same player, Antonio Brown, who's filming me in a post-game speech. So the last thing he wants to do is go down that lane again.
I don't want us to get lost in this, but I have to say it because I just think it's appropriate. I wish from our highest office in the land, I wish that we would hear what Mike Tomlin just said.
Yes.
Because I think, look, people have been taking Twitter too seriously long before our new president.
Okay.
But our new president makes us take it even more seriously, and I wish everybody would just stop. And that's not a defense of Antonio Brown, but I think what Mike is saying, let's put this in context, what Antonio Brown did. And again, I suggest everyone go read Jesse Washington's story. It's amazing and exposes Antonio Brown in a way I don't think people have seen before. But what Mike is saying is an athlete reads a story that he doesn't like. And you know what goes through his head? Man, I like to give that dude a two-piece.
Yeah, with a biscuit.
It goes through his head.
With a biscuit, yeah.
Yeah, it goes through his head. But he doesn't act on it for the most part. Now, I've been threatening some locker rooms, and Andre Rison and Marcus, a lot of guys have threatened to be, but it never happens. People get emotional. It doesn't happen. And so it went through his head. Twitter is a stream of thoughts. We all think inappropriate things in our head.
Great.
Trust me, in my head right now, when I go home tonight, me and Tamron Hall are going out to dinner tonight. We're going to go see a movie.
Tear that buffet up. What you talking about?
We're going to do it all in my head. But that's not reality.
No.
And I might tweet about it. I may be in her DMs tonight. Who knows? But it's not reality.
It's not.
And so that Twitter isn't reality. It's a stream of thought. And so we're just taking it way too seriously. And we're letting our silly thoughts, because we keep a lot of inappropriate thoughts in our head. Like, I really don't like that tie.
Okay.
I would never say that.
You just said that.
That was just a stream of thought. I would never say that.
Don't hit sin. Don't hit sin.
But we all hold stuff in all the time and show our better selves.
Yeah.
But we have all this divisive conversation of just thoughts, divisive thoughts that we're all taking too serious.
Look, man, so many times I'm sitting around the house and like, I grab the phone, I start it, and I say, ooh, not that. That has to come back. Tweet something out about your little man. Tweet something out about the monster trucks, something like that. Where is Whitlock's second earring? Like, stuff like that. I'm like, is it ever going to be found? Like, it's little things like that. But you know what's so crazy about this, Whit, is that so many people in this world, I learned this because I played in a world without social media, and then I played my last 2 years with the emergence of social media. And I saw that transition. I saw the mindset change in the outside world where people who don't know reality want a glimpse into your world. So they take it as real. Like, you can say anything and it can change the complete narrative about something that you've built up for an entire lifetime. It's a crazy place, but you gotta be careful with it.
Let me explain something to you before we go to the next topic. I'm an OG.
Oh.
I'm over 50. I'm from a different generation. You ever see Mike Jordan used to always wear one earring?
Yeah, he did.
That's what the real OGs, that's what we did.
Yeah.
Y'all younger people came in with this 2 earring stuff, and I've never figured it out. All right.
All right now.
To our next big
Leave us
story. This one out of Cleveland, where the Browns are off to their best start since 2004 after a tie in week 1. But Hugh Jackson is still trying to fend off a quarterback controversy. Hugh admitted that Tyrod Taylor's performance was, quote, not good enough, but he says Taylor is still his starting quarterback. I think that's the right move. I'm not I'm not going off script because of one game. I'm not throwing Baker Mayfield out there to get his head ripped off this week when the Browns are going to be overmatched. I'm letting Tyrod Taylor take these beatings early. I'm going to get to my bye week or something. Then I'm going to move Baker Mayfield in. If I move him in at all, I just don't play the Baker card right away.
Look, I don't think it's off script. I think it was written in the script, fine print, that, hey, Tyrod Taylor, a quarterback that's above average because he protects the ball, but not necessarily above average in many other respects. I like the player, but he's not a franchise quarterback going forward, despite being only 29. You drafted that guy at number 1. So I'm the complete flip of you. I came into the season saying, you know what? Tyrod Taylor has to ride this entire thing out, highs and lows. After seeing Baker in the preseason, just glimpses. After seeing Tyrod in week 1, 35% completion percentage. If they had any inspired performance at quarterback, they would have won that game. They would have beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now I'm sitting there watching a Todd Bowles out there say, you know what? I'm going to throw my guy right out there. Sam Darnold picked at number 3. He's going out there, and look at how he performed. First play, pick 6. The rest of the game, stellar performance. I see that Baker Mayfield not only has the mental, the moxie, the attributes to deal with adversity, but he can get out of some of those situations and play well. I'm going with him.
Let's remember, Darnold played against the Detroit Lions.
You are low on the Lions. That was nearly a playoff team last year, one game away.
Cleveland played against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Great team.
And so, I want to get Baker on the field at the most opportune time for him to have success. On September 30th, they're going to play the Oakland Raiders.
Okay.
And we just saw the Oakland pass rush. It's non-existent.
It's not there.
Khalil Mack is gone.
Yeah.
And so by the time we get to week 3, 4 down there, who knows what the Raiders' record may be? They got this veteran team. They may see it's not going anywhere. No pass rush, an opportunity for Baker Mayfield to get out there and have success while still giving Hugh Jackson what he wanted to Tyrod Taylor. He wanted a veteran quarterback. He wants to win now. I just think pump the brakes. It's just, I don't make any. It's just like we were listening to Cowherd. Cowherd's so happy about Sam Darnold.
I'm with him.
He thinks he's discovered
with
gold in the hills. Whatever. He's dead clamping. You know, he done moved to Beverly. And it's one game. And so I say the same thing about what we saw from the Browns and Tyrod. It's one game. I'm not blowing up my game plan.
It's one game, but in that one game, you can learn a lot. And I think you need to channel your inner Sean McDermott, coach of the Buffalo Bills. After one game, realize, you know what? Yep, Josh Allen, you ready or not, here it comes. And you are going in there because Nathan Peterman has been the worst starting quarterback in NFL history. 3 starts and 3 benchings. I'll say it again, 3 starts and 3 benchings. So it wasn't the most difficult decision, but it's time to do like Sean McDermott. Put your youngster in and let's go.
There's a lot of problems in Buffalo beyond Nate Peterman.
Preach.
And so with Josh Allen, I would just be careful. You throwing a young guy out there, get his confidence rattled. I'd maybe continue to let Nate Peterman take that beating before I throw Josh Allen out there. Same thing with Baker Mayfield. All right, welcome back. Marcellus and I are joined now by Hall of Famer Rod Woodson, one of the all-time greats from the state of Indiana, second only to me.
Here you go.
All right, let's return to the NFL.
No earrings.
Where Aaron Rodgers' epic Sunday night comeback sparked a fresh debate over who's better, Rodgers or Tom Brady. Reportedly, Brady once told a coach that Rodgers was a much better than him. But when asked about Rodgers this week, Brady dodged and said he wouldn't give up his top 5 quarterback list. Well, Brady might not give his list, but we're going to give ours.
Let's do it.
I'll go first.
All right.
The greatest of all time is John Elway.
All right.
Number 2
Number 1?
is Tom Brady.
Okay.
Number 3 is Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Johnny Unitas.
Johnny U.
U.
Yeah.
And then number 5 is Peyton Manning, another all-time great Colt.
Look. I'm not mad at those names.
All Super Bowl winners. They had to win Super Bowls to
Well,
beat.
no, it's not all had to win
Just
Super
how you
Bowls.
roll,
That's just John. Listen, I'm gonna explain Elway because people always question me about my Elway contention. Elway is the reason how I evaluate a quarterback. Could he dominate in any era of football? The rules have changed. Blah blah blah.
Yes.
John Elway could be dominant in any era. That's why I think he's the greatest.
Oh, I'm not mad at the names. I wouldn't have had Johnny Unitas in my top 5, just probably.
Because you haven't seen him play?
Prisoner of the moment, yeah, a little bit.
He don't know.
Yeah, respect.
child.
I study NFL films, but look, I'm not mad at that. But number 1, John Elway, even though that was my childhood idol, I wanted to be Eric Dixon or John Elway. Playing against John Elway, I realized his greatness. Number 1 is a little extreme for me, but the order is all only issue I got.
Let me hear you.
Here's the genius at play. The list should go like this. Number 1 quarterback of all time.
All time?
All time is Peyton Manning. Let's stop playing. Number 2, Tom Brady. 3, Joe Montana. John Elway, here he is, my idol. Number 4, and Dan Marino, number 5. Let me explain my list in short. Peyton Manning, when he stepped on the field, of all quarterbacks I played against, and I played against all those guys except Montana. Let me just say this. When we saw the scoreboard and it said 0-0, start of the first quarter, we're like, y'all lying. It's already 14-0. Peyton Manning done put up 2 scores somewhere on this field before this game even started. He was automatic numbers, automatic money every single time. Greatest quarterback I ever played against. Tom Brady, amazing. Doesn't strike the same fear in me as a defender as Peyton Manning. You talk about playing in any era. How about playing in any system? Then you get to Montana and Rice. Come on, man, that's like steak and potatoes. Elway, zipping the ball past my ear, and Marino, amazing.
At least, I mean, you had one quarterback going there that didn't have no Super Bowl wins. Remember, we're in the ultimate team sport. They don't have to be Super Bowl winners to be the best.
I like it.
Yeah, Rod is previewing his list.
Absolutely.
Because he doesn't care about Super Bowls at all.
No, I mean, it's
Go
like
ahead,
this is the
Rod.
ultimate team
Go
sport.
ahead,
All right,
Marino.
listen. Number 1, Danny Marino.
All right.
0 Super Bowls.
And
Go ahead.
since you gave a resume,
Yeah.
I played against 12 Hall of Fame or going to be Hall of Fame quarterbacks in my career. All right.
Nice.
So Dan Marino can sling it, the best in the biz.
Yes, sir.
All right. If he played in today's league, he'll throw for 7,000. He'll throw for 7,000.
Before
Just
the
like Tom.
Before the injury or after?
And still not win a Super Bowl.
It doesn't matter.
Go ahead.
He couldn't run anyway. So.
He win a Super Bowl, but go ahead, Rod.
All right. Second one after that, you got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, number 2. Number 3, Tom Brady. Number 4, Joe Montana. Number 5, you guys
0
didn't even have
Super
no
Bowl titles.
Jim Kelly.
Ooh, you dating yourself.
And I like, and I should have had on there / John Elway. I should have had them together. They should have been that 5th one. But at the end of the day, I like this because we all talk about team sport, and the quarterback position is the only position in the National Football League that has a win-loss record behind it. And we think that's because of them all the time. It's not because of all of them. Now, these quarterbacks are all great. And if you go to Canton, they don't have them separated.
I hear you,
They're
but
on the same place.
Aaron Rodgers is a contemporary of Tom Brady. They're playing right now for the same championship, at least experience, forget winning it all. He has lapped him 5 times.
Who did?
Tom Brady and his team.
That's accomplishments.
Okay, but how did you accomplish that?
That's
How did you accomplish that? By performance.
Accomplishments does not tell you how great an individual
Let
player
me tell you
is.
what the problem with this whole discussion is.
All right.
And this is why, journalists are superior to great athletes.
Stop that.
It's because y'all took the whole thing very personally.
No.
You started out with, here's who the greatest I played against. Here's who struck fear in me. This damn near the same thing. I played against 12 quarterbacks, and here's the guy.
I had to give my resume since he gave his.
I went back as a journalist, as a historian.
Oh, so you're impartial.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Well, he couldn't go nowhere else. He didn't have the president. What you gonna say over my rookie year? You couldn't say that at Ball State.
That's why I'm saying a journalist
stop it.
is superior to an athlete. I don't take things personally. Y'all leaving out Johnny Unitas.
I like Johnny New. I like Johnny.
Top
Hey,
5.
I like the black
All
boots.
these are
I like all
A+.
those.
Yeah, these are all A+. Don't make it seem like somebody is lesser
I'm
than.
gonna tell you who's number 6 on my list, though. Jeff George should have been on this list.
Jeff
Best
George.
arm.
Oh my God! What the
To
hell?
a guy on nobody's top 5 list,
Man.
Lions coach Matt Patricia, after getting blown out by the Jets in his head coaching debut Monday night, reports are now surfacing that Patricia's players are already frustrated by the Belichick disciples' long list of rules and difficult practices. I think there's something unique about playing in Detroit and why the Lions will probably never have success. The city of Detroit, man, is in such economic and depressing disarray that I think that culture and that depression and that depressed negative energy or whatever impacts the entire organization and team. And I'm looking at a coach come in and try to hey, we're going to do things the way we did it in New England, and these guys are just rejecting it. You don't bring that here. I'm playing in Detroit. And it's damn near like, I'm doing you a favor. We're not going to work hard. We're not going to follow a bunch of rules. We in Detroit.
We already depressed. How you gonna make us more depressed?
Just being here.
Work us harder.
I mean, I love you. I mean, I wouldn't go that lane, the socioeconomic lane of depression to lead.
I used to live in Ann Arbor.
I get it.
And I got a lot of friends in Detroit.
So I trust your experience, but look, I lived in Buffalo, which you can say is in some form or fashion has some depression because of the climate and not a lot of activities.
It ain't 8 Mile.
It ain't 8 Mile, but it's also not other nicer, happier places.
Yeah.
But Detroit's not good consistently because of bad coaching at times, bad personnel at times, and bad performances the other times. That's just how the game goes. Matthew Stafford, the reason why you lost to a rookie quarterback at home is because you had a horrible game. This is the reason I am off the Matt Patricia, Bill Belichick train.
Already?
Oh, look, first of all, I was
One
only
game?
First of all, because I've learned from history not to trust a Bill Belichick disciple, Bill O'Brien being the exception.
Right.
I only had a finger on that train. I only had a finger holding on, and I said, boy, you show me anything, I swear I'm letting go. And what I saw wasn't just bad performances. I saw uninspired behavior, not only from the players, but from a coach who distanced himself from the moment. I just saw him too many times. They would go over to him on camera shot, and he's just sitting there by himself.
By himself. Nobody's talking to him.
Nobody's talking to him. Like
In 5-foot radius.
Right. In moments, the moments I need comfort and support is when we're down. I don't need you all in my face when we're winning. I get it. We're winning. But when we're down, come on, coach. And I didn't see coach show up.
Yeah, you know, and I'm not going to the economical thing or the geographical moment or on the map of where you're located in our country. You think about it. At the end of the day, they don't like change. Players are creatures of habit. People don't like change in general. Now, if they would have won the game, nobody would have said anything.
Yeah, we would say that's the way you're supposed to coach.
That's the way you're going to coach. It's old
Speaking
school.
of this, the way you're supposed to coach. Old school.
It's old school.
What you doing over there?
He's the OG.
Yeah,
He OG.
Patricia Penn.
On a more serious note, from my perspective, I never liked the Matt Patricia hire from jump.
I'm with you.
When the guy got off the airplane with the Goodell clown T-shirt, I was like, that's not the look of an NFL head coach. That can't be the face of your franchise. You can't be the defensive coordinator of the Patriots, which you know puts you in position to be a head coach, and think, I'm going to get off an airplane with a Barstool Sports T-shirt clowning the commissioner of the league. He just raised his hands and told every owner in the league, I'm not your guy, but the Lions, who Matt Millen, and the history goes on and on and on, they do dumb things.
And they had a solid coach.
Yes.
They fired Caldwell. He won 56% of his games. Yeah. He went to playoffs twice. It wasn't a culture about winning. No. They wanted to change. Now, Bob Quinn came in. He spent a lot of time in New England. It's a good old boys network. He brings over one of his guys. And players don't like that change. Now, if you're going to win, like I had Chuck Noll. My first 5 years, Chuck Noll retired. Bill Cowher comes in. We won right away. And Bill worked the snot out of us.
Right.
We didn't complain about it because we was winning. When you win it, all the other stuff is kind of easy to take. But when you lose, and he's working you hard, and you in the snow, and in you rain, and
yeah,
you don't want to be a part of that.
I'm not going through hell, and we're going to lose on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Like, that's not what's happening. But look, we've seen this before. Jim Tom Sula, anybody remember? Day one, we knew that was going to be a fail.
I know people in Detroit are mad at me. I love Detroit. It's an easy commute to Windsor. All right, welcome back. Joining us now is Fox NFL analyst Mark Schlereth. We all know Marcellus is that dude, but now it's time to meet that dude's dudes. Each week, Wiley will give us the top plays from big guys throughout the game of football. All right, what you got, Sellers?
All right, man, it's time to give the big dogs some love. We all know that football is won up front in the trenches. So it's time for that dude's dudes. And we have Von Miller here, who's going to get a sack on Russell Wilson.
What?
But I have to show you how this play was set up and how Von Miller was able to
you mean Von Miller, who's not worth as much as a quarterback? That's where you start?
I had to pick on this. Look at Von Miller turn these hips. Now, when you see a pass rusher turn the corner, what you see out of that pass rusher is a hip turn. A lot of times we focus in on just the result of the play. A lot of times we want to focus in just on how he got the sack. But look at the hip turn. And finally, Russell Wilson, you helped him in this sack. 16-yard loss as Russell Wilson ran back 16 yards. 26 yards in total. Von Miller was able to run to get the sack of Russell Wilson. So when you see these pass rushers go out there with the tremendous hand combat, the hand technique, it's also the lower body, it's the hip bend. So Von Miller is our third dat dude. Got after right
I like that. I like that.
And here's our second dat dude, A.J. Epinesa of Iowa. Look at my big dog go out there. Woo! Gets to the quarterback, deflection, turnover, all on one play, sack, forced fumble. Now watch what he does. A.J. Epinesa decides, hey, man, I see that chip block there. I'd rather run through the offensive tackle and bring out the bulldozer. As he brings out that bulldozer, oh, poor Robert Hudson. Have you seen Avengers? Because I know you don't feel so good in this moment. But guess what? You about to disintegrate, brother. It's a wrap. That bulldozer took over.
You know what, Marcellus?
Yes.
I saw Dan Saliamua do that to Mark Slayer several times.
Several times. That was just in one game.
You know what? I saw it too. I saw it. That's when you kick your feet up and do the dying cockroach, hopes he trips over him. That's what I did.
And give some props to A.J. Epinesa. 2 sacks and a forced fumble in the game.
That cat's going to get upkicked for the rest of the season after that, right?
You already know it. And let's move on to the top dat dude's dude of the week, of course. The money man. We got Khalil Mack out there. The Bears 10-0 lead, and the 3rd and 19, all of a sudden in the second quarter. Look what my man does. Gets the interception, return for a touchdown. How does he do it? First thing he does is he realizes, you know what? Hey, man, y'all think y'all slick. I'm realizing these offensive linemen not blocking like normal. So he sniffs, this may be a screen, and then he realizes y'all ain't slick. This is a screen, damn it. So now I'm going to get off of Brian Beluga, and I am going to back up and sniff out the screen, get the interception, and take off running down the sideline.
Can you look at Deshaun? Well, look at just Deshaun Kaiser on this.
Will you look at John Gruden on this play, regretting?
that.
Maybe he should have took some of my $100 million. I should have spent some of that on that, because I saw that with regret. And that is Khalil Mack, our top dat dude of the week.
You know what, Marcellus? We talk a lot about the speed and athleticism, the length, but what you just showed there with Khalil Mack, a lot of instincts.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal in line play.
And film preparation. He was able to sniff that out. That was more upstairs between the ears than it was athletic ability.
All right, that was awesome. Let's move from that dude's dudes to a delusional dude, Lamar Jackson, who made a big deal of only playing quarterback in the lead up to the draft, but actually lined up all over the field in his Week 1 debut. Lamar now says he hopes his versatility will help keep the Ravens' opponents guessing, but I think he should take the guesswork out of it and just move to wide receiver.
Oh, here we go.
I think it's time for a numbers change. He's Antoine Randall L. He's Cordell Stewart. He's Slash. He's not a traditional quarterback. I wish he had made himself available at that position. I think he would have gotten taken higher in the draft, gotten more money early. He's happy. He's like any other football player. Nothing worse than standing on the sideline when you've practiced all week. He wants to be on the field, and it would be easier for him to get out there as a wide receiver.
Well, look, his presence has already made an impact. His presence is known. Just him stepping on the field, all of a sudden, defensive coordinators say, watch that guy. That is a jolt of energy. That is electrifying. He's blurry when he's on the field. And here's the numbers to prove it. I asked you, did last year the Baltimore Ravens ever score 47 points? I asked you that. No, they didn't. I asked you, did Joe Flacco ever throw 3 touchdowns in the game last year? That pressure.
Did he throw 3 touchdowns at all last year?
Exactly. My point, Stink, is the impact that he's having on defensive coordinators and on his own team at quarterback is enough to say keep the guy around at this position. It's working.
All I know is I think you become a better football player the more you know and the more opportunity you have. So for me, Lamar Jackson, you're doing it the right way. Put him in at multiple positions. Let him learn. every receiver position, what the backs are doing, and that can only enhance his football knowledge if he does at some point develop into a quarterback. I don't mind continuing to give him reps there, but I think put him all over the football field. I know this, Marcellus, you know, you're as a player, defensive end, D-tackle, all those things, you get a different perspective. I played defense in college, and then I moved to the offensive side of the ball, and it helped me immensely as an offensive player, understanding what you guys on the defense from a body position, from a positioning standpoint of where guys are lined up, it helped me immensely understanding what's coming my way. And I think this can only help you understand the game at a deeper level. So I think it's a good thing for him as he continues to develop as a quarterback.
He's made a hell of a point. He made this earlier in the year, Marcellus, on the show. It's a unique way of teaching Lamar the game in the quarterback position, because some guys are visual learners.
Yes.
And some guys are, you know, you can write it in a book on a chalkboard, but some guys actually learn by doing. I kind of like Mark's point of this is also a way to teach him the quarterback position by teaching him all the skill positions.
Yeah, see how guys have to receive your ball, the different acreage on any football field, the different mannerisms, no matter what position you play. You learn the plan of attack, you learn how to plan your attack. Here's the beautiful thing about Lamar Jackson. He is dynamic, special with the ball. We say that a lot, and then you see him, you're like, and that's a different category. So you hold on to that 2.0 quarterback as long as you can. I mean, even when you think it's over, you give it one more opportunity, because if he nails the mechanics of quarterback with his athleticism and skill set, it's over. Like, it's not going to be pretty to anybody who has to defend that, so I stick with him.
This is where football is really interesting to me, is that the nuance of teaching football. And that's why I think more and more players need to be involved in the nuance aspect. I talked to DeMarcus Ware this weekend about the nuance of pass rushing and hands. But think about just from a route running standpoint. You know, if you're running a slant against a press corner, you're going to take 3 steps and hit that slant hard. If you're running an off corner, man, you want to get to 5, right? Just little things like that before you hit that slant. Just an out route against a cover 3 with a corner that's pulling off. You want to hit that thing hard and sharp at 15. Against the cover 2, you want to get to 17 and round it off a little bit so you put some space between that rolled up corner and the safety who's coming over the top. Things like that. Now, if you're running those things, that can only help you from a quarterback visual standpoint. So I think it's a good thing for Lamar Jackson to be able to do those things.
All right, welcome back. Marcellus and I are joined by the smartest man in college football.
Yes, he is.
But the third smartest guy at this desk, Joel Klatt.
All right.
A lot of huge stories in the game of college football this week. Let's get to it. None bigger than the top 3 programs in college football are all using 2 quarterbacks.
Right.
Led by Nick Saban and Alabama, and that was all controversial, but it's like everybody's ignored what Georgia and Clemson are doing. Joe, I love the 2 quarterback thing. Makes sense to me. I think Nick Saban's right. Yes.
I think it only makes sense because of the new redshirt rule. So this year in college football, you can play in 4 games and still retain your redshirt. Okay, so that's why we're seeing Trevor Lawrence and some of these, Justin Fields at Georgia. We're seeing some of these young quarterbacks get time because it's not going to hurt their eligibility. If we weren't in a situation where this was a rule change, I don't think we would see all of these guys. Even a guy like Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts, he'll graduate in December. He was only about 15 credits short this spring. If he plays in less than 4 games, he can graduate transfer and still have 2 years to play on the back end. So I think it has more to do with that rather than just these coaches thinking to themselves, we got to play both guys. Because why not let it bleed into the season, get one guy comfortable, have one guy really win the job on the field, and then go from there. But eventually, I do believe that this will iron itself out to the point where these programs have one quarterback going out there on a constant basis.
For clarity purposes, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, of those 2 quarterbacks that they're all putting out there, is there one situation where you're like, why are you even playing the other guy?
To me, Alabama. And the reason is what I already stated, is that if you get Jalen Hurts and play him in a 5th game, you've just removed a season from his life, right? I mean, at some point, you got to do right by the player. That's why I'm surprised by that one. Hurts is a great player, but Tua is clearly better than Jalen Hurts. I think Tua is if you look at a margin standpoint, he's further from Jalen Hurts than, let's say, Kelly Bryant is from Trevor Lawrence or Jake Fromm from Fields. Those guys, I can see the competition. They're different enough in style, but Hurts and Tua, I mean, this thing is case closed, guys. Tua Tagovailoa is 10 for 10 with 4 touchdowns on 3rd down.
Say it.
What?
He can get hurt. He can get hurt just like anybody else.
Then
Why not have
Hurts can play.
All right, let's move to Ohio State. Last game of suspension for Urban Meyer. This is the game that they had to add to that suspension to make sure it wasn't just a slap on the wrist. They're taking on TCU, 15th ranked this weekend. Will Ohio State miss Urban Meyer and potentially lose?
They have not missed him yet. Now, granted, their competition has not been stiff. However, it's been 2 Power 5 opponents. Think about it this way. They don't have that FCS cupcake on their schedule, not even a Group of 5 cupcake, and yet they're still 2nd in the country in total offense, 2nd in the country in scoring offense, averaging over 62 points per game. I would argue that this version of Ohio State offensively is even better than when Meyer is on the sideline. And the reason is because they're more vertical in their passing attack. Very similar to when Cardell Jones was winning the national championship with Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. When they're vertical in their passing attack, that's when they're most dangerous. And Dwayne Haskins has done a heck of a job for them. 9 touchdowns so far. I think this is a team that's going to be on Saturday night. I think they're going to beat TCU handily, and people are going to be like, whoa. We're forgetting about Ohio State because of all this coaching talk and the suspension talk, and we're forgetting that the players on the field are some of the best in the country.
Both of you kind of quick, start with you, Joel. If they do dominate TCU, does that take any shine off of Urban Meyer? Any? Does that
ran through my mind as you were answering.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it started to run through my mind. I know it's about the horses, but the jockey
I mean,
too.
he got him there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not just – Ryan Day is going to be a star, right? He's the interim coach right now. He's going to be a head coach at this level very soon. It might be next year after what he's doing in this first 3 games. I don't think it takes a shine off. Remember, there's only 4 coaches in all of college football that have won a national championship and only 2 that have won multiple national championships. Urban Meyer's one of those. That's tough to take that shine away.
Would it diminish him at all in your eyes?
It wouldn't, because for a program in college, we always talk about the coach who has to walk on the practice field and see his full recruiting class, all 4 years of that recruiting class come to fruition. It's also about the culture change, and Ohio State's always been a great force, but they've hit another stride. They're in the upper echelon now with Urban Meyer. You don't want to mess with that formula because he's now there.
All right, Joel. Clay Helton is getting destroyed out here in Los Angeles. Colin Cowherd's all the way off the bandwagon. He won't even go to practices anymore.
Wow, it's there, huh?
Is Clay Helton
That's a lot.
Mayday.
already on the hot seat?
He is. But let me just tell you why I bristle at this. Now, he is. You can't – the fan base is upset. I don't think Lynn Swann loves this as his head coach, and Lynn Swann is a guy that did not hire Clay Helton. That's a tough position to be in as a head coach. But let me just remind the USC fans that no coach in USC history has gone out in his first 2 full seasons as head coach and won 21 games except for Clay Helton. None of them won the Pac-12 and a Rose Bowl in their first 2 seasons. So this guy has had success. And I was talking to a USC fan this weekend, and they were like, hey, man, when's USC going to win? I'm like, what do you mean, when are they going to win? You're in the midst of a very successful stretch where you won a Rose Bowl, won a Pac-12 title, and they were like, well, no, like Pete. And I'm like, oh, I get it. So you want to be a dynasty all the time.
Yeah.
Well, that's just not reality. We are living in La La Land, and I think USC fans are in La La Land as well.
Oh, I mean, look, it's the Tim Duncan, the Kobe Bryant argument a lot of times. People walk up to you and they're like, oh, I just want Kobe. And I'm like, why you want Kobe? Because he had higher heights, greater peaks than a consistent excellence. And you talk about Clay Helton has been a consistently excellent coach for the program. But he's understated.
Yep.
You know, he's a great guy of character, and that doesn't always translate to being a marketing machine for a program like USC.
As a
That's the problem.
Marcellus, I'm going to quibble with the use of consistently excellent. Excellent. He's been consistently really good.
Okay, I get it. 3 losses for USC. But
best 2 years.
Thank you.
For opening 2 years for a USC coach ever.
Ever. This is USC. This is that program, and he's been the best of all coaches, at least by the numbers. But he's not winning the PR battles.
They haven't won the playoffs.
No. A lot of teams haven't won the playoffs.
This is a big week.
Let's get to a friend of mine from my former place, and Herm Edwards. I am sold on Herm Edwards, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't sold on him before. I didn't tell him that. I was just like, Herm, you sure you want to coach instead of broadcast? Okay. But wow, he's translated to the collegiate level smoothly, undefeated right now. You sold on Herm Edwards at ASU?
Here's the thing that I think that got lost in his move back to the sideline is that, let's be honest, Herm was playing a part on television, right? He kind of amped up the character that was Herm Edwards. And I think in the locker room, in particular in college, his energy is infectious. I think he motivates young men. And he clearly motivates them to the point where they're playing really good football at ASU. Who would have thought that in the Pac-12 South, Kevin Sumlin and Chip Kelly would be 0-4 combined and Herm Edwards would be 2-0? Because it was flipped really when we were talking about the sentiment of those hires in the offseason. Jason, I will tell you this about Herm Edwards. He's recruited some young defensive linemen and linebackers that are playing so well. Would it shock you if I told you, after playing Michigan State, that the #1 rush defense in the country the ASU Sun Devils? How about that?
I'm going to say this about the character that he played on TV. I think that's authentic. Having covered Herm in Kansas City, and I know Herm a little bit, I don't think that character works in the NFL. I think it works in college football.
It can't wear on you in college football because guys come in, guys come out, the turnover.
They're younger and a little bit more naive.
Yeah,
you get older, you get a little jaded.
Yeah.
And so I think, and I was like you, Marcellus. I was like, he's going to be the CEO. He's going to let everybody else do this or that. I was very skeptical. 2 games in, this is a great story. And you know, Herm's character works.
Yeah.
And let me give you a little left turn since you're the smartest guy in college football. Don't know if you knew this, that Chip Kelly and Dan Mullen both were at Columbia when I was a player.
Were they
Columbia.
really?
Isn't that something?
How about that?
Humble beginnings, as we should say.
You know,
right?
there's so many stories like that in college football.
Let me
you
get
can go back.
something important. You don't need to talk about Columbia football.
I like that.
Ball State nearly upset Notre Dame.
Nearly?
In Notre Dame Stadium. Notre Dame's ranked number 8th in the country. We lose to them by 1 possession. Why is Ball State not ranked? This is a travesty. We should be getting AP points.
Next.
All right, welcome back. Marcellus and I disagree about a lot, including social media. He kind of likes it. I absolutely hate it. Here to convince me it's not so terrible is our social media manager, and Ball State shirt wearer, Darnell Smith. Love it.
Is that a title?
I got about 25 of these. So
Where?
Get used to it. From over the years.
Oh, okay.
Over the years.
Yeah.
See, we look out for each other at Ball State.
That's all y'all do.
We look out for
y'all
each
don't
other.
ball, so y'all might as well look out.
Anyways, let's start with one guy who's on social media even more than me, Dez Bryant. Dez still needs a job and clearly has way too much time on his hands, going after his old team again, tweeting that the problem was my ex-teammates respected me more than my coaches. But the funny part, then he replied to his own tweet saying, I can see that. Feels like a Kevin Durant-style burner account to me. Are Dez's tweets keeping him unemployed?
I think they're playing a role.
Oh, yeah.
He is addicted. Remember when Jason Witten wrote that column before the beginning of the season that he's seen guys in the locker room get caught up in Twitter and at halftime go check their Twitter feed? I think he was speaking directly to Dez Bryant out of love.
Yeah.
Out of like, Dez, man, let it go.
Right.
And I wish someone close to Dez could just delete the app, man.
Yeah.
Take it off your phone.
Exactly. Until you get employed. And even then, just stay away for a while. You don't need this, Dez. Look, the perception of you is that your passion is negative. I remember you yelling at your teammates on the Detroit sidelines, and it was mischaracterized as negative. When Tom Brady curses out Bill O'Brien is characterized as a positive. I get it. But now you're adding fuel to the fire of those who are against you. Stop tweeting, stop retweeting your own tweets, and just chill out, dog. What's the point?
Twitter some people can handle the negativity of Twitter.
There you go.
Some people can't. I just think Dez is one of those guys. So, Dez, this is out of love, man. I got to give you 5 Twitter off.
5 of them.
5? You got 5 on it.
City, man.
Use the whole
You
can.
got it right. Put that up. Put that up.
All right, what's next, Darnell?
Yeah, let's go back to Monday Night Football, where I want to show you guys one thing you might have missed. Marcus Peters did this crotch grab as he scored on a pick 6, which looks a lot like his cousin Marshawn Lynch's signature cross grab. Twitter loved it. Even dropping Marshawn's hilarious high school headshot on it. Was Peter's celebration a tribute or a troll job?
I think it was a tribute, but what blows my mind, and Marcellus, this is where you can help me and the other two-star football player here on the desk, having played in the NFL, a distinguished career. How can Marcus Peters, end of the game, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're in the heat of the moment, how can you remember, oh, I got this interception, and I need to grab my crotch and troll Marshawn? How can your mind even think that? If this was a 99-yard return and you got 13 seconds to think about it, I get it. How do you even remember to do that?
Hey, man, it's the same way in the fourth quarter or 2 minutes ago. You see that flanker in motion, you say, I remember on Wednesday, if he goes in motion, that's what it does. It triggers something. Once we plant that seed in our head, especially you're going against your cousin, and you're like, you know what? If I get my chance, oh, boy, I'm going to show my cousin what's up. I think this is a tribute and a troll. It's a tribute because I'm showing you love, props to your celebration. Let me mock you. That's the best form of flattery. But it's also a troll because we are winning, and I'm in your house, and I'm doing your celebration. A little both.
The other thing I wasn't quite sure about was Sean McVay running down to celebrate with him. And again, you got to remember, Marcus Peters played with the Chiefs. Great player. Also a great head case. And I think Sean McVay is going to make Marcus Peters more of a head case by participating in this type of foolishness.
Look, when
leave that to the player.
You're a player-friendly coach. You sometimes go to that extent. You go to that extreme to make sure, you know what, we're allies in this so I can keep you under control because I'm keeping you close and tight. Maybe that's his play.
See, Darnell and I haven't played at Warren Central High School, the greatest high school in the world. And Boston. We're too classy to do any kind of thing.
Was that the high school from Wildcats?
Google us.
Google us.
Google us.
Dominant, baby. What's next, Darnell?
Yeah, let's switch to the NBA, where Shaq went off about ex-teammate, second greatest player of all time, Kobe Bryant, on his podcast.
Hold it.
Stop the show.
Second greatest player of all time.
Second greatest Laker?
Second greatest player of all time behind
Ball
MJ.
State education. Keep going.
Darnell's really just 18 years old.
Oh, there you go. That makes sense.
It's a very childish comment, Darnell. Go ahead.
Anyway, Shaq dropped this wild idea about a possible Kobe comeback. Listen to this.
Play 15, 20 minutes a game as a Laker, boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And then if they happen to do well, it'll probably be one of the greatest stories in NBA history.
You know what? I like this.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do, because I said this when Kobe retired, that he's not done playing, that Kobe will put the cape back on at some point. I predicted he'd go play with the Knicks, but I said Kobe will come back. Shaq is jumping on board. Look, the Lakers are a circus this year.
No, they're not. The Lakers are the second best team in the West.
They're the circus this year.
Bet.
Kobe can join the circus.
No way.
You're a Clippers fan. How the hell you going to cape up for the Lakers?
Clipper Wiley.
I keep it real. I keep it 100 no matter what side I'm on. Look, this is Shaq who realized how the end of his career played out. It's like, hey, Kobe, let's just keep adding a little sauce to the end of your career, which was disastrous at the end because it wasn't Kobe level. Like, he was falling apart on the court. That dude's dudes. He was evaporating like the dude was. Like, he was turning to the end of Avengers on the court. Achilles injury, shoulder injury, everything was falling apart. Kobe was done. The big three said, hey, Kobe, we want you. Kobe's like, nah, son. Kobe is done, and it's funny that the only people that want him to play have a little something in it, and maybe it's to their advantage more than Kobe's.
All right, Darnell, what's next?
All right, finally, let's move to Whitlock's neck of the woods, Kansas City, where a local reporter tweeted that Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill asked what his favorite place to eat in Kansas City was. You'd think he'd say some classic barbecue, right? But nah, he said Popeye. Really? Popeyes is good, no doubt, but Whitlock, does this make you think less of Tyreek now?
No, it makes me think that he keeps it all the way 100
Right.
all the time.
Yeah.
Because, look, I'm not really a Popeyes guy. I'm more of a KFC.
You lie.
I'm more of a KFC than Popeyes.
Yeah, the wet skin?
I'm not a
greasy.
spicy guy. I don't like spicy chicken. But I get it. If this is his thing. Now, the only thing I don't get, he hasn't obviously been there long enough to go visit my friend Ollie Gates, the barbecue baron. Ollie Gates Barbecue. I would love for Mr. Gates and the family to send us some Gates Barbecue out here.
Yeah.
They're willing to do that for us. I'm going to put a call in and we're going to have to get Tyreek introduced to Gates Barbecue.
Yeah, Mr. Gates, send mine to my house, because if you send it up here, I ain't going to get it. I know me and him arm wrestling over some ribs ain't going to happen. So, look, he's keeping it 100, and I used to be with him. I used to be all in on Popeyes. And then it became I don't know if you heard, everybody in the streets, it depends on which Popeyes you go to.
That's true.
Yo,
there is truth to that.
That's true. If you're in Atlanta airport, that one's good, when they fighting. You saw that. You fighting over Popeyes, that's some damn good chicken. But I like the fact you are what you eat, and I saw him with my own eyes against LA Chargers. This dude is special, so whatever he's eating, it's working, brother.
You know what this reminds me of? When you talk about it depends on where you get it from, this is something Darnell can relate to. We both from Indianapolis. Yeah. Church's Chicken.
Oh, yes, same thing.
Church's Chicken on 38th Street in Indianapolis. I don't like it. The one by the Juvenile Center, off the chains every time. So it all depends on where you get it at. Thank you, Darnell.
No
Great
problem.
job.
Great segment.
All right, today we look at Dak Prescott, who is off to a bad start this season, and as I explained earlier in the show, hasn't even come close to recreating the magic of his rookie year. I've got his approval rating falling fast. I have him all the way down to a total of 55. I dropped him 7 points in job performance. Previously, I had him at a 17 in job performance. Right now, in the moment after week 1, I got him down to a 10. All-time greatness.
Okay.
I drop him 3 points. Anytime you're the starting quarterback for the Cowboys, you've achieved some level of all-time greatness, but I got to drop him down 3 points to a 3. Character and authenticity stay the same at 20 and 22 for a total of 55. Hall of good, but a couple of more bad performances, and he could drop down to a scout team level.
Scout team level, Dak? that would go well with his scout team receivers that he has out there right now. Man, I'm with you. I did drop him in job performance. Not 7 points, because I can't blame it all on Dak Prescott. I have to blame the play call, and I have to blame the lack of receivers. So job performance for me, it did drop down 1.
Hold on, I just gotta start. A 16? That's a winning level of play to me.
You don't think that he's still a winning?
Last week, maybe. I got to see it week 2, and I may go back up. But
yeah,
last week,
not great. But he did drop, and hopefully I can keep him at that level. All-time greatness, yeah, that's down 3 for me. If I look at him, I expected a little more than what I saw, and then I looked outside and saw the receiving core. I saw those plays coming in. I said, man, I have to drop this dude because now my expectations have dropped. Let's talk about his character. Tremendous guy in the community, obviously, impact from his mother's death and his foundation, Faith Fight Finish Foundation, doing tremendous work. So he's doing great off the field.
I would have him at a perfect 25 character-wise if he hadn't gotten that trouble in college.
Say it. The fight, the DUI.
Yeah, I would have him at a perfect 25. And maybe at some point moving forward as he gets further away from that, I'll inch him back up more in character. But I think he's a high character.
Yeah, and everything we're talking about is in college. So, yeah, he should start to trend upwards as he has. Authenticity? I like the guy. I mean, not doubling down on the anthem, but tripling down on the anthem. Saying, Jerry Jones, here we go. Let's do this. I respect somebody who sticks to their guns, but at the same time, that message didn't translate as well as it could have, but that's not on you necessarily. I sent it out properly. You improperly received it. But all that said, I give Dak Prescott a higher score than you. I still have him at 63.
You have him at 60. I think that's a little high, but I don't blame you. I'll say this on the authenticity point. I think he's one of the most authentic athletes we have right now in terms of he knew he was taking a controversial position on the national anthem, doubled and tripled down on it. That's as authentic as you can be.
But you got him 1 point away from being on the scout team. Stop playing. Take the hat off. Let the earring loose. Stop playing. He's not in the Hall of Good comfortably. He should be a little higher than that. But he's in the hell of good.
I wore a hat just for you today. You've been complaining I haven't worn a hat. I come out here dressed like Tom Landry.
You look good.
And you never said anything about my hat.
I gave you a little Kansas City clean, but you're right.
This was a Tom Landry look
That's
for
the
me.
fedora. That's the boy.
Yeah, this is the Tom Landry.
Can we keep it going every day, though?
This is America's team right here, and
There
I'm Tom
you go.
Landry.